Well, if you've been lucky enough to talk to her, you'll have experienced some of them. She's very sensitive. She's very warm. She's
Mm,
very, um, she's profoundly, maybe it's a cliche to say, she is profoundly artistic.
mm,
She just understands somehow the double meaning of everything. She understands the skin on the surface of everything, the sort of
right.
carapace. Yeah, she really is very skilled, and of course she's a lovely writer, lovely imagination, and is a very skilled writer. I mean, she wrote that first play that was on in the National Theatre, Olivier Theatre, first play written by a woman. So she's really done. I was very proud to be asked by her. I was very pleased. Well, the book, does actually something very interesting. There's a lot of metaphors in the book, there's a lot of images in the book, there's a lot of symbols in the book. There's
Mm,
jellyfish and dogs barking and sand, and the sea itself is always a metaphor for some death, love,
I see.
lost, abandonment. So there's very, it's a very classical book actually that Deborah's written. And I loved the book, but I really loved what Rebecca did, which is to turn the book, which is very much a novel, into something that is very much a film. And for that, you have to change certain things. As Rebecca allowed this character to become Irish, the history of the character became Irish, and the the sort of, but both book and film do one thing, which is that they elevate the sort of existential bewilderment that people get when they upend themselves and put them somewhere where they can't really function. These two have no money, they've gone somewhere else to do something that they don't know the outcome of. They put themselves in a kind of forest of Arden. And I think Rebecca does that very, very well. And you get the same feeling that it's not just about the relationships of mother and daughter or the relationships of Sofia with her new lover. It's actually that all of them are a little bit lost on by the edge of the sea. I was brought up in the theatre where we all rehearsed for 6 or 8 weeks before we did anything. But actually, it's amazing when the film is the master, you throw yourself into the center of the thing on
Mm,
any day. And as it happened, we filmed the big fight scene that we have in the
ah,
car, filmed first. So we were thrown in at the deep end. And I think Emma
I
and
see.
I both knew we had to really hit the heights on that scene. But once we did that, we knew how to kind of reverse engineer the rest of the film, or where we would have to be emotionally, because we would never be up there again. So it was, in that way, it's structured. But a lot of it is that, we're both playing the situation. I playing Rose didn't have to take responsibility for the relationship, because Rose doesn't take responsibility for the relationship. It's poor Sofia who takes responsibility for the relationship and tries not to kill her mother, really. I mean, her mother's frustrating, but the mother doesn't know she's frustrating. Yes, Greece becomes a metaphor for Spain. In a funny way, it's a weird Spain. It's a kind of Grecian Spain. And that's good too. It's the edge of the sea. It's hot, it's sandy, it's stony, it's awkward. They don't know a word of the language. It's not really ever explored. In the book, it doesn't really explore Spain or Almeria. It explores this sort of desert world, and you get that in Greece too. So we were in Marathonos, and it's somehow in my head, that's entirely where the thing takes place, because that's where we spent all our time. So I very much liked where we were. No, I was just saying it's rocky. It's not gorgeous beaches. It's really rocky and uncomfortable. That I relate to in Rose.
Yeah.
I relate. I mean, I'm a daughter, so I have a mother, so I know exactly what the daughter is feeling about the mother.
Mm,
Um, But I think I related to a few things that I admired about Rose. And it's much better to play apart from love than from judgment, is that I think
right.
Rose is brave enough to sell up or get some money in order to go down and test a doctor who they don't know, who they just hope will do something to shift where they both know they're stuck, and Rose wants to become unstuck. I love that Rose was literary and that she's reading The Min on the Floss and loves Maggie Tulliver and is very aware of how to read. And of course she worked in a library, the character. So she's an interesting ordinary person. She hasn't got a very big, I have a much more spoiled life. I live all over the world. I go traveling here. I film there. But Rose's parameters are quite small. But within that, she's full of energy and therefore full of life. She's a
Mm.
little bit like Winnie in Happy Days by Beckett, which I've also played. Somebody whose world is shrunk, but somehow the human spirit is big. It's very interesting, but you say she hides her history. I honestly don't think she thinks she's hiding her history.
Mm.
She thinks she's going to get some very interesting cure for not being
Oh.
woke. And he asked the questions. There's a wonderful line where Rose says, I didn't pay all this money for a chat. She doesn't want to, she can't believe that by telling you the story,
Mm.
anything will change in her physiology. And, that's maybe the case for many people in relation to psychology but I thought he played it very well because he never played that he absolutely knew the answer, not at all. He never played that. I mean, the character doesn't know the answer. He just has a hunch that somewhere the problem lies in her mind. And I think, nobody likes that. It's humiliating to think that your mind is the source of your physiological problem. You want it to be a real physical problem with a physical cure. And in that way, Rose is very old-fashioned, very blinkered. So I think I enjoyed very much this mismatch. She kind of gets the wrong doctor and he gets the wrong patient. Socialize, of course. I mean, we would often have dinner together, and
Oh.
but we didn't talk about it. No, because I think actually Vicky was quite surprised when she saw the film about our story because she was very
Oh.
much in her story, and I tried to stay away from their story. I didn't turn up on the set when they were shooting, except for one day I saw them riding, but otherwise I didn't because it is about them not knowing each other. So I very much enjoyed. But when I saw the film, I could see, my goodness, here was this poor Sofia who meets two damaged people. Of course, she's attracted to one because she understands damage in her mum.
Right.
But it's a weird novel that both these women who are part of Sophia's upbringing, as it were, are both full of secrets, lies, difficulties, memories. Very interesting.
Yeah, that was I thought that was an interesting element as well. Well, thank you so much your time, Fiona. I had a good time talking to you. It's such a honor and a pleasure to talking to you.
Talk
Great.
to you.
Have a
Bye.
great day, Fiona. Bye bye.